part 2 of episode 102 of This Week in Grip. As always, it's me, Jedd Johnson. They call me Napalm. Alan Hynek, Esquire, and James Professor Crowbar Rederides coming at you. We are finishing up the story about our trip to Slim the Hammerman's birthday party and the recent episode of The Strongest Man in History where Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall left the old school York 45s. We'll also be talking about other stuff, so make sure you listen to all of episode 102, part 2 of This Week in Grip. Here we go.
I can't remember. I played around with his clubs a little bit, and he got a little mad at me because I put one down on the ground.
Ooh.
I didn't know they were like $400 wooden clubs from like Portugal, you know. So I'm like, oh well, you know. Yeah. I didn't know they like, you know. I didn't know if they like touched the ground, they would burst into flames, you know. So
sure.
And he was like, no, and I was like, whoa, sorry, man. I was like, my bad, like that, you know.
John Lino was at the first contest that I ever went to, the Battle for Grip Supremacy. Walked right out of his truck, went to the inch dumbbell, and like popped it off the ground about, I don't know, it was a near clean. It looked like he tried to squat clean it. Like it was, It was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
so
you could tell he's a strong guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Even still, you could tell he's a strong guy. Yeah.
So many more guys were there. I can't
there
even.
were so many.
Let's just start rattling off names.
Well, Mike Margolis was there.
Yep. That was the first time I ever met him.
I don't know how it's pronounced, but it was the first time I met him, and I had a chance to talk with him. The Mighty Adams' grandson was there too. I spoke with him a little bit.
The guy with the tank top and the dark hair and hat and glasses?
Yes. Yeah.
See, I didn't know who that was.
Yep,
I had no idea who that was, and I never got introduced to him or anything, and he was kind of like always busy bouncing back and forth, so I was like, who the heck is this guy? But, that makes sense. I mean, totally ripped to the bone, that guy.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, oh gosh, what's the guy's name? Obviously there was Steve. He was cool. He seemed like a bit of a ball buster, so he was like, you know, those are the kind of people. Puccinella and Wiener, those guys kind of remind me of home, you know, in the Northeast, where everybody's just sarcastic and busts everybody else's balls. So
that's what I get from it. Steve Puccinella seems like that. They kept breaking people's balls. I could see that. Yeah. Now that's Steve Wiener. Now I definitely know that name. Was he on the grip board at one time or another? Because I've seen this name has come up before.
Three Crusher was his name. Yep, and he's on. I don't know how much he goes on the grip board anymore. He does post sometimes, but mostly I see him on Facebook with stone lifting and squat videos in his garage. In his
okay. Yeah. Was he on the Mash Monster ladder at all?
I can't remember.
Okay, that's fine. His name was it's so common though that I'm associating with something. I'm just trying to figure out what it was at all.
Red Nail Bender, Red Nail certified.
Okay, that could be. Yeah. It's like something he's done at some point has been referenced back to here and there. I don't know what it is. If he took something that was just a crazy easier.
So he just came across Facebook in my memories for breaking the Guinness Book of World Records for the frying pans in a minute.
Okay. It might be something like that. That would make sense. All right.
Yep.
All right.
He's done countless performances with Pat, at least a couple at the Old Time Barbell and Strongman dinner.
Yeah.
The AOBS dinner. So
there was another guy who was there who was older, and this is the guy I couldn't think of his name before. And Dennis had said that the guy had been performing years ago too.
Was he the one that was walking around with the dog?
Did he have a dog? He might have. I don't know.
There was a fella he has kind of like curly hair that's gray, white.
That's him.
Yeah. Man, I can never remember that dude's name, and I didn't talk with him while I was there. He was always off to the side with his dog and stuff.
Well, Slim had some stuff with him in his
Yeah.
And his little, there were pictures of him on the wall, some memorabilia and stuff he had bent and stuff. So
man, I should find his name.
Very humble guy, though. When I was talking to him, like he was very nice, very polite guy, but
sure,
he definitely wasn't tooting his own horn.
No,
everyone else was. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. And where I first met him was at the AOBS dinner where I performed, and we sat at the same table for dinner.
Okay.
Shoot, I'll find it. I think I'll be able to find it.
Mhm. Yeah. But yeah, there were a lot of just a lot of guys there, and I think there was mid-20s probably, 20-something people.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, Mauser was there.
John Mauser.
And Hannah the Destroyer.
That's right. Yep.
So what did it take to get the invite then? How did that work?
I'm not sure.
I don't know, man. As far as I recall, I've never gotten an invite before, and I see it happening, and like, oh, that's cool. I was not expecting an invite because I didn't know. I was always under the assumption it was Dennis's students that got invites. Yeah. Because most of those guys had been to Dennis's old-time Strongman University, or for instance, James has trained with Dennis in the past, and they have videos out and stuff like that. So I figured it was something along those lines. And then one day I got a text from him. That's about it right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I talk to Dennis every so often. It like maybe a couple of years ago he had called me just about my preacher curl, and he wanted to talk to me about that because just really complimentary stuff. Very nice guy, and then we just got to talking, and the next thing I knew we were on the phone for like an hour and a half, and we'll do that every so often. We'll just get on the phone and talk, and just I like Dennis. He's just my kind of people, I think. Just really very kind, very humble, very polite guy. Just super strong, unassumingly strong, very inclusive person. Doesn't want people to feel left out ever, and encouraging. So I like Dennis a lot, and I think just probably from my like Jedd said, going over there training, being out there for a weekend, and just speaking with him on the phone, I got an invite. So
sure. Okay.
Because I'm certainly not bending the grade of steel that some of these guys could bend yet, So especially with this shoulder, but yeah, it was definitely an honor to get the invite. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. So.
Sure.
And it worked out for me because I was already on vacation with my family visiting my sister in Philadelphia. So it was only an hour and 15 minutes maybe to go there because I was already down there, I'll say down south, but, I was already really, really close to there. So it worked out great.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you drove right past that $100 inch dumbbell, you're saying?
Yeah, dude.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh, if that was up for sale just 2 weeks ago, I would have had it.
Terrible. Yeah. 150-pound regular dumbbell probably went to $25 or something.
I'm like the only one of our training group that doesn't have one now. So, like even Robert Miller's got one, even though he moved out to Fayetteville. But yeah, I'm like the only one that doesn't have an inch dumbbell now. So I always said, like, if I saw one that was cheaper, I'd pick it up. And then I saw on Jedd's Facebook the $100 inch, and I was like, oh, and my stomach turned. So.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do?
Right. Oh, damn.
So, anything else to add from that event there, Jedd?
I'm sure we're leaving tons of stuff out. Tons.
Probably. Yeah.
What
was your feat of strength that you did at the round table format? What did you guys?
Nothing. I didn't do anything. I was just sitting there hanging out. I was just talking to Pat and Steve and those guys. I didn't do anything. Eventually we walked in and Dennis had me try the hammers.
Yeah, me too.
I did those. Yeah, James and I did them at pretty much the same time. Dan did them with us.
Yeah. And then I did some of Slim's other hammers. He had some big wooden mallets. One of them weighed like 30 pounds. I wasn't doing that. But then he had an 18-pound hammer. I did that, and I did one of his wooden hammers that felt like I don't know, did you feel the smaller wooden hammer? What was it, probably 15-ish?
No, I didn't try it, but you got to also tell him about his hammer that he was throwing at people.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's got the most realistic-looking sledgehammer that you've ever seen. And, I mean, what was it made out of, like styrofoam or plastic or something?
It felt like a wiffle ball bat to me.
Yeah, it felt like a wiffle ball. It was like a wiffle ball bat kind of sledgehammer. It was, like, made with the same plastic, you know. But it looked like even the grain on the wood looked so real, and the metal head. And he was just sort of tossing it at people, you know, to try to scare the shit out of them, I guess.
Whipping at people. Anybody scream like a girl?
Well, I look like a real badass because, you know, I had already seen him do it a couple times. And, you know, Slim's memory, as we established, is about as bad as Jedd's. So he didn't know that he hadn't thrown the hammer in my direction yet. So when he did it, I didn't flinch. I just reached out and grabbed it and looked like a tough guy. So yeah, Slim's memory problems worked out well for me, is what I'm saying. And Alan, to answer your other question, I did not do any feat of strength in the circle either. I think I was eating fried chicken and pizza at the time.
Oh, okay.
Bulking up. The 239-pound body weight.
Sure.
There was a ton of food there, Alan. A ton.
Nice.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah, and that was very nice for them to put that together. I thought that was great. I don't know about you, Jedd, but I was there. Did you leave before me, or didn't we leave around the same time? I had well, it was actually earlier that you and I went to my car to take out the York 55, the 25-kilogram plates. I stopped in York, and I got two 25-kilogram plates that are like right around 69, 70 millimeters thick. Together. So Jedd and Jedd had a little bit of chalk, and we popped them off the ground with two hands, and we're holding them with one, but neither one of us was able to pull them with one hand that day. So, but I'm sure we both will at some point. Yeah, they were. Yeah. They didn't feel that great.
They're like a mid-range plate, kind of like in that pain-in-the-ass range where you can't really get a real good dig or a bite with your skin.
Yeah.
So you're left to just squeeze real hard, and that doesn't always work out real well for me on plate pins.
Yeah.
They're pretty tough.
Did you scale them? They land right at the 110, or?
No, I haven't done that yet. Yeah, okay. I should probably do that. Yeah, you know what I did? I brought them home, and I've been doing some two-hand pinch stuff with them. I just, immediately threw a pipe through them and started adding weight, and I'm trying to just gradually increase the weight that I can do on them with two hands. You know, just to get used to the width, too. And I'm doing some lifts and then sort of letting go with the other hand. I'm just trying to hold it as long as I can for one hand. But yeah, I should throw them on a scale. I haven't done that. So knowing that they're Yorks, I don't know, but they're newer York stuff, so they might be underweight, right?
Sure.
I was going to say knowing that they're Yorks, they're probably overweight, but I think the newer stuff is really sort of you know, it's all over the place from what I've heard.
Dumbbells. Oh, the legacy.
Yeah.
So annoying.
Well, I'll tell you this: the one legacy bell I have that's 135. It weighs 135.8, but one side weighs significantly more than the other. It's weird. It's like you can feel it when you lift it. That it'll tilt. Even if you grab it in the center, it'll start tilting one way or the other. So yeah. I wouldn't know. I mean, other than cutting them up, which I will never do, other than cutting them up, I'll never know, you know, what the weight is of both sides, because I'm not going to hack them up like you heathens who do those sorts of things.
So yours probably never even get dumped to the ground then quickly either, James, huh? They're a controlled descent?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've had, with those, sure, but like my preacher bench, like the the frame is very dented up from times I had to bail out on extremely heavy weights that I just couldn't reach over. Yeah, so never dropped one on my toe yet, but yeah, I've certainly dropped plenty of dumbbells. We'll put it so I put a hole in my heater. I had this space heater in my garage, and the other day I'm doing front squats, and I thought it was racked on one side, and I let go of I just let go of the bar. I thought I had it racked. One of the 45 slides off the bar and lands directly center in the heater, which is made out of plastic, and it's just sitting there. It didn't like bounce off or anything. It just like knifed through it and just sat there. I was like, well, I wonder if the heater still works. Yeah. So I'm gonna need a new heater. I showed my wife; she got a kick out of it. I was like, I think I need a new heater. She's like,
we need to see pictures of that kind of stuff.
I threw it out. I know. I probably should have took a picture. It was funny, but then I was like, oh man, my wife just got that, and I'm like, you know what I mean? It only lasted one winter, so I showed it to her, and she's like, great. Just throw it out. I was like, of course I'm going to throw it out. What the hell else am I going to do with it? Yeah. Plug it in. Yeah, I'm going to plug it in. So anyway, that's all I have from Slim's event. But like I said, it was really cool to be there, and we spent probably Jedd, 6-7 hours there maybe. It was a long day.
Dude, it was a solid day. I had to get going because I forgot that I had to go pick the family up from my sister's house and then drive us back to the hotel we were staying at. So,
yeah,
I'm sometimes when we go on vacation, we both take a car or there's an extra car. So I was like, oh crap, I got to get back there.
Yeah.
So, but it was a fantastic time. I really treasured being, on the invitee list. So that was.
Yeah, me too. It was cool.
It was good.
So do we want to talk old school 45s now?
Yeah, dude, we got to get on this topic here. This is a pretty big deal. Of course, right at the heart of it is Brian Shaw, who once again has performed an incredible feat of grip strength that not many can do. It was on the episode, I guess, that took place last week of Strongest Man in History. I didn't see it on TV. I just saw a clip that was online, so I don't know what episode it was or anything, but where I saw it was on YouTube, and also the clip of Brian and Eddie Hall doing the feat is on the Powerlifting Legends Instagram. So if you go to their Instagram and just look at their list, like currently, as of right now, recording this on, I don't even know what today's date is, maybe the 20th. But anyway, 21st. It's the 6th video on their list. So, and it shows, Brian lifts it super easy.
Yeah, kind of expected that.
Clip. Yeah. Eddie misses.
I was a little surprised that Eddie Hall did it. Yeah, I was surprised a little bit that Eddie got it. I don't know why. I mean, I know, obviously the guy's got, strong everything, but I see him as a shorter guy with kind of stubbier hands than Brian, you know what I mean? So that kind of a wide pinch doesn't seem like it would just, happen so, I don't want to say easily, because I don't know how many takes it took him to do it, to get it off the ground, or if, in between takes, Brian was giving him advice on how to do it, But either way, it's, I was impressed with the fact that he was able to lock him out. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if people don't know what we're talking about, these things that I refer to as old school Yorks probably have, a more formal name. And we are looking to get James Fuller on This Week in Grip sometime fairly soon so that he can walk us through history of York plates and other things along those lines.
Yeah.
But there's several types of York plates. So, you can find lots of plates that say York on them, and they may not necessarily be the plates that we're talking about in this video. So prior to this feat, there were only 5 recognized people who had lifted these old school Yorks that are about 2 inches thick apiece, and the hub on the inside of the plate, the hub is flanged Hopefully that's the right word, but it's a sloping hub. So pinching it by the hub in your normal claw grip without using the spines on the plate for an advantage is much tougher on the York plate because of that slope. So that's kind of another one of the identifiers of the plates. You put these things together, smooth sides out, they're like 4 inches thick.
Yeah.
So they're the old school York deep dish plates, but there's multiple kinds of deep dish plates too. So one other thing that makes these plates very hard is the inside rim, and Alan can attest to this. He's got a set. The inside rim is not flat. They're actually rounded. So if they get off center or if you tilt them at all, they can slide inside one another, and then it ruins your grip on the plate. So is there anything else? Yeah, is there anything else, Alan, that you would point at to identify exactly what plates that we're talking about here?
No, I think that pretty well summed it up. I guess another descriptive feature perhaps is that they're relatively raw. They're not quite as refined as what you see some of the other plates. Their surfaces, like the outside rim of them, is still fairly coarse and somewhat rounded. It's one of the big differences. The back side, you can almost see some. Oh, it's got a different kind of texture to it. Not like a finish type texture, but just where, their process wasn't quite so polished with how they were made.
Yeah.
So
they're not
where
milled.
you see
they're not milled in any way.
No,
right?
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. No, and I would even go so far as to say they're not even necessarily perfectly flat either. They might even be somewhat concave and things like that. So they don't mate up very well at all.
That is a great point, and that's another thing that will cause them to be more difficult than other plates. The ones so after this all happened, I got my old school York plates out and tried to pinch them and was actually able to get them off the ground. I couldn't even believe it. But one thing, that's something that I forgot, like depending on how you grab those, the edge that your hand is covering, like the area of the plates that your hand is covering, may not be touching because there might be a space in between that rim because they're just inconsistent. So I had to keep rotating the plates around in order to find a spot where there was 3 or 4 inches where the rim was flush on each plate. And the other spots you could have slipped probably, 15 sheets of paper in between there. That's how much space. Whereas, maybe 3 or 4 credit cards would go through there. So
other plates are more carbon copies of each other, and the Yorks are more one-offs of each one. They're it's like this one's done, now they're on to the next, but no two are really alike in that regard.
Kind of what you're describing is kind of like it's like those 2 old Weeder 50 plates that I have that are all rounded and the hubs bump, and it's just to me, it's the most frustrating thing in the world to try to get them just to stay together to pinch, and those aren't even close to 4 inches. So this sounds like, I mean, I know I had mentioned that video of Rob McMurrin pinching those 245s, those older York plates, but, you had said, they're 3.5 inches deep, I think is what Rob said. And you had said these are 4 inches. So
right. So they're a different plate. I mean, now, granted, that looks like a tough pinch. Those look to be very similar in size to my Billard 45s that we talked about getting out to try to pinch yesterday when we trained, but we didn't end up doing it because they have a very, very sharp edge on them. We didn't want to slice ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So, but that's in a range where it's an in-between range, just like James's plates, where it's not a comfortable grip that you have to take. So I'm not taking anything away from the feat of strength that Rob performed, but it's just a different feat of strength. They're obviously different plates. The thing that I noticed before anything else was the rims were thicker, Alan, so they were probably they looked to be maybe 3/8 inch thick rims on the outside, and they were flat. So those plates, you wouldn't have the same troublesome challenge of lining the plates up to pinch them. So
okay.
Yeah.
So before last week, I knew of 5 people that had pinched those plates. Richard Soren, Chad Woodall, myself, and then Gil Goodman and Juha Harju, and then Aaron Corcoran, who we mentioned before, came very, very close. So Juha and Gil did it at Living Legends in 2016 with my plates. Yeah. And then Corcoran tried it and almost got him, but didn't quite get him to lockout. Aside from that, the only dude that I know of that has gotten those off the ground, I will pull up the name right now. Richard Soren sent me like a photo or some kind of a download of a guy named Jim Easley. Easley.
That sounds kind of familiar. I don't know why, but that name sounds kind of familiar.
Well, you may have seen the image because I think this has been shared around. This came from, it's on page 23 of a certain publication. The title of the article is Mr. Supergrip by Gord Venab. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it might be Venables. I'm not sure. Venables. But I think in French you don't pronounce all that other stuff at the end. There's such a it's such a waste of letters in French. Like Versailles. Versailles has like 18 letters in it. It's like 45 L's.
Well, so, the French are big on nuance, Jedd.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So the subtitle is, here's a guy, although not a millionaire, could easily be one by pinching pennies. If Jim Easley of Kansas City, Kansas was a plumber, there's one tool he wouldn't need, a Stilson wrench. For Jim must have the strongest grip in the country. He has never been beaten at gripping feats of strength and probably never will. Jim is a big, easygoing, soft-spoken power man. If he wasn't, you'd hesitate before shaking hands with him unless, of course, you had no further use for that hand. But there's a picture. This goes on. It's a great article. It's wonderfully written. I'd go on and on and on. But
when is it from? What year?
I couldn't tell you, bro. I could not tell you. There's no mention of a title and there's no mention of a year here. You can tell that it's probably like an old Strength and Health magazine or something like that. Okay. Probably James Fuller sees this and he knows what issue it is. He probably has this issue. Yeah. But they are definitely plates that look like old school Yorks. You can see the rounded rim on the inside. You can see the bevel around the outside of the plate on the flat side also has some rounding to it. So it's not a really good notchy thing that you can drive the inside of your thumb against. And he's standing up with them. But the thing that is alarming to me, and this is the stuff that I see, and James can attest that, like, I have a tendency to jump to conclusions and say things based on photos, is he's standing there with the plates at his side and just waiting for the dude to take a picture, okay? That's what it looks like. Yeah. And anyone who picks these plates up one at a time, nobody does it the first time standing there with the plates at their side. So my only question is, like, was he able to break these off the ground but maybe not lock them out, and then for the picture he picked them up and stood with them at his side, and are they braced on his leg? I mean, I can question this a million different ways. So and it's not a video, so I just don't include it. But this isn't the first time I saw this. It's just I don't know that for a fact that this guy lifted these.
So either way, whether there's 5 or 6 or 7, very few people have done it. And I would say that Juha and Aaron, I know Aaron, you said Aaron didn't lock them out, but those guys would have, probably the smallest hands of people who've done it, right?
Well, Alan, or I keep seeing Alan. I'm sorry. Aaron has definitely smallish hands. They're under 8 inches. So like if you grant him the title of old school York pincher, I'm pretty sure he's got the smallest hands. The next guy would probably be Richard Soren, because Chad's hands are quite large. Obviously, mine are 8.5, 8 3/4. Gil's are just about as big as mine. Who did I leave off the list? Who did I skip over?
Juha.
Oh, Juha. Juha has a decent hand as well. So, and who knows about this Jim Easley guy? But I mean, we can throw him on there on the list, and that's 6 people that have ever done this feat up until this point that I was aware of.
Yeah. Well, Pop Soren definitely has way bigger hands than mine, put it that way. So
has Cody Burns not? That's got to be in his wheelhouse, picking up those things.
I wouldn't doubt that he could do it. I just don't know that he ever has, and I don't remember. Okay. I don't even remember him trying. Dude, I could have it on video that he tried and just didn't get it, but I don't remember him trying at Living Legends because he was definitely there, but he didn't get them, and his video didn't end up on YouTube. So, or his attempts, I should say, didn't end up on YouTube from that day. Neither did Derniat. I don't think he even tried them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Derniat's another guy I could see, doing that at some point if he trained it, But his pinch didn't look like it did. Last time I saw Derniat was at Summer Strong last year, and even though he was like trying to transfer the inch from hand to hand and he could pull it off the ground at will, it didn't look like he was able to pinch the 45s that were there. So, but it could just be he's not focusing on his grip, and you know how pinches. You go back to it, you do it for 2 months, and then you're pretty much back to where you were. At least that's how it is with me. I don't know about you guys. So,
were you there last year, James, when Chad Woodall did the double lift and then the farmer's walk with the old school Yorks?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, I think that was. I didn't see. Look, the day I was there, Chad Woodall was not there. So, and I was there on Saturday. So
good call. I think maybe he went the following day.
Yeah. But that's a crazy feat to be able to do that. I mean, I brought this attention on the YouTube video that you put up, Jedd, that, I mean, I would like to see Brian pinch 255s because, I mean, to me, it's kind of like, it's kind of like if the feat of strength is pinching 2 old school Yorks, like you were leaving out like so much of the field of guys that have good hand strength, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I can't look. I mean, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I don't know how long I would have to train to be able to pinch 2 old school Yorks with sub 7.5 inch hands. So it's like I'm left off the list, as is somebody like Bob Sundin. Anyone who I would say is somebody who could pretty much pull 45s at will. That's like sub 8 inch hands. I'm not going to say that it's impossible for them to pull the Yorks. As you said, Aaron Corcoran had them off the ground, but it definitely reduces the pool of attempts of guys who could actually put in, an honest attempt and be able to do it. So it's a feat of absolute unbelievable hand strength, but also hand size and strength. Mm-hmm. Whereas
I just found something quick.
Yeah.
It was about that Jim Easley. I was just doing some searches, and I found something looks like in the Kansas City Times from March 24th, 1973. And I see a picture of a guy. It's kind of hard to see. It looks like to get full access, I have to click some free trial, which I'm a little reluctant to do. But anyway, there's a picture of a man with a pair of, you can see pinch plates in his right hand anyway. It looks like he's got a tattoo on his arms.
That's
right. Is that what you saw, Jedd?
Picture.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So
73.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I mean, how old does he look in the picture? I'm just wondering if there's some way we could track him down. I think I think that would be an interesting thing.
That would be cool.
My picture is really crappy. He doesn't look terribly old, though I wouldn't put him at 40. I don't know. But what do you think?
Well, it's hard to tell because he's under tension, and he's got his head turned. Like you can see, like he's shrugging up. You know what I mean? He's like,
yep.
It's not a walk in the park to do this feat, especially.
No.
Give him the credit he deserves. Some dude with a camera is trying to take a picture, and he's probably messed it up 18 times already. So, but it's hard to tell. But I don't know. It would be.
He could still be around to this day, though.
Sure. Yep. It would be cool to see.
Yeah. It would be, yeah.
Now,
or even just to talk to him, I think, Not like we're going to ask a guy who's like 80 years old to pinch 2 old school Yorks to prove it, but it would have been cool. I mean, I understand that, people back then didn't have the accessibility to video on their phones, because they didn't have the entire world in their pocket at all times, So, but it would have been cool to see something that definitely verified that he could do it for sure, or even talk to him. So.
Yeah. Now, since all this came out, there has been 2 other names that have come up that have apparently done it. Richard Soren was thinking that perhaps Dave Labe had done the feat, so he messaged him or texted him to ask, and he said no. But he says Big Tex said back in the Mighty Mitts days of training, he made them. So he was able to complete, to lift the plates. They gave quite a bit of positive time on the air to the feat, he said. That's talking about the show. Since then, Rich Williams has said that he has also done it. But there's no video, so who knows if he did it or not. According to him, he has. I don't have a single doubt in my mind that he could do it. I would just like to have a video on my YouTube of him doing it. So, what disappointed me about what Rich posted here is, and this is straight from the powerlifting. What is it? Hold on.
I couldn't find that what you were talking about in your video.
Oh, really? I've got it here. It's Powerlifting Legends Instagram, and it's on that post. So I went and grabbed the screenshots because I was afraid maybe they would end up getting deleted, because there was that other guy, Kyle Boost, said that his actual video that he put up got deleted. That's a different story, but so if you go a little ways down, a guy named B. Woodrow says, Powerlifting Legends, that's a lie. I know a guy that can do that. Just because they are televised doesn't mean can't anyone else do that. Ain't that right, Rich Lone Wolf Williams? So then Rich says, LOL, you are correct. Brian knows there are more than 5 who have done that feat. 5 men who have done that feat of strength. That's warm-up stuff that we would do at Sorenex 10 years ago. So he says that Brian Shaw knows there are more than 5 people who have done that, and that it is warm-up stuff from Sorenex 10 years ago. So that's why on the video that I put up on Thursday of last week, that Brian probably got that off my YouTube video, because I was thinking that in my YouTube video, I state there have been 5 people that have done it. I was incorrect about that. It's actually Gil Goodman's video that has that in the description box. So that's probably where Brian got that information, I'm assuming.
Well, I believe last week, Joel Dirks, whether we were on the call yet or not, I can't remember, but Joel had said that Brian reached out to him to find out the information in terms of how many people had pinched 245 old school 45s, Yorks. So
that makes sense, because when Brian came across the Millennium dumbbell, he also reached out to Joel, and then Joel messaged me about it. So so maybe Joel's the one that found the only 5 people in the world.
Yeah.
But still, dude, I have never even heard, not one time, that Rich Williams did that feat. And I have talked to Richard Soren about this at least a half dozen times, whether in person, on telephone, or through text message. Yeah. And it's never come up. It has never come up. And that is something, it's like blob, inch clean, and 245s are, and like silver crush 3s. Those are feats that Richard Soren knows in and out. And I'm just extremely surprised that he would not know that 2 of his guys performed the feat. Like, I just don't know how that would have gotten past him. That's the reason why.
Okay.
That, you know what I mean? That's like the reason that I doubt that it happened, because how did that not ever come up?
And see, this is what I'm wondering, because I don't know if I've told you guys this, but I've interviewed Rich Williams at length about, everything, essentially. I mean, I spent hours with him at his gym one day talking to him and even recorded the interview. I mean, he never really got into pinch strength, and based on what he had said to me. With that being said, I don't think that he would. There's a very good possibility, and I'm not making excuses for Rich, but there's a very good possibility that he'd pinched 2 York 45s as like a warm-up, like some of us could do, pinch 2 York 45s as a warm-up and have them not be the old-school deep dish 45s. That is a possibility. I don't know the thread you're talking about. I don't know what was said. I know that Rich and Brian Shaw have had, kind of a tenuous relationship. I know that there's a lot going around over the whole inch dumbbell press thing, and I think a lot of it is in this day and age, especially with Instagram and YouTube and and these channels that are on YouTube, the fitness channels like the ones that like Brian Shaw has, in this day and age, it's like guys like Rich Williams, if he was in the prime of his youth, he would have probably gotten a lot more credit, and I think a lot of times what happens is Rich doesn't get the credit he deserves, and he knows it, and it's like, and I'm not saying Rich is only out for credit, but I think in some ways that he probably just feels really ignored, which to me in some ways is sad, because it's like, Jedd, you know it, I know it, Alan, you know it, Rich Williams, wow, in terms of the stuff that he's been able to do.
Oh, absolutely. It's strong as all hell.
Yeah. He's just not, he just never made it in a mainstream way. And I think in some form or fashion, that's what bothers him. Not that he would say it or articulate it in that way, but I think when he sees these things that have gotten mainstream and, it's stuff that he was doing 10 years ago, other than the old school York pinches, or, he was doing similar feats, or he could have done these feats 10 years ago. He sees that and he doesn't get any of the credit. I'm sure it probably bothers him a little bit. And that's why you get the reaction that you get from him.
Right. And then I'll just say that he does say in 2009 is when he did that in this thread.
I went and looked.
Okay.
I searched on YouTube. I couldn't find a video of that, and I did go on his Facebook, and I also didn't see anything like that. But there's no doubt in my mind he could do it. I mean, no question at all. He'd rip him off the ground like you wouldn't believe. That's my thought.
Dude, I think his hands are like 9.5 inches. So,
that I didn't even know. I mean, just the strength is there. No question.
But I mean, I've read all kinds of terrible stuff people said about him using fake plates and
oh really?
His axle is this or his axle is that. And I was at his gym. I saw his plates. I saw his axle. You know what I mean? Like, Rich Williams is legitimate strong, and I think a lot of it is he allows these guys a lot of people who couldn't even hold a candle to the stuff that he's done to get under his skin and affect him. And, I mean, I having a chance to sit down and talk with him a few times, I like him. I do like him. I think he does have a big heart. I just, I don't know. I kind of wish he didn't let it get to him. I think
I never heard the fake plates
easier for him. Yeah, I can't remember.
Well, that's a shame.
Was, but,
yeah. He did that axle pull, right? And we talked about it on the show. Didn't he hit like 560 or 560? Some ridiculous amount of weight, right? Like it was over the world record, more than anybody else is doing. And we speculated a little bit about some differences in like the what the bar actually weighed and his plates and stuff. But fake didn't come up. I mean, it's not like he did 700 pounds on an axle. That'd be like, oh, what the fuck's going on here, right? But he hit 560. I could see a man like that doing 560. That wasn't out of the ordinary. It was like, I was more or less questioning, was it 560? Was it 565, 555? It's still a shitload of weight, but it was just like the exact number. Yeah.
Let's say, for argument's sake, his plates came out a pound underneath or 2 pounds underneath. You know, who knows? Like, let's say he went and he found the lightest 45-pound plates he could find, okay? And let's say the axle wasn't a standard axle, and he still, you know, lifted those plates, okay, those weights. And I didn't see a scale around the gym that he could weigh these plates on. I don't think he cares about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
What would be the most you would knock off of that 560 axle if it was an Iron Mine axle and all the plates were calibrated?
No, I wouldn't even go 20 pounds actually.
Yeah.
Even with the variance, I would maybe go 10. I think that's probably reasonable.
So I know we're not talking about the Iron Mine axle, and I know this is a feat of strength that Rich may or may not have done that hasn't been documented. You know, I don't know, man. Like I get both sides. I really do when it comes to Rich. You know, because I could see where sometimes Rich could say something and it could be construed as bitter. But then, you know, I also know that
he overuses exclamation points. So
okay.
I think he uses them to emphasize, but because he overuses them, it comes off like he's yelling. And
gotcha.
You know, if you read it like he's yelling, then you can take it in a way that's different from the probable attempt that he's intent that he's actually trying to produce. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes just the wording that he uses, that he chooses to use, and stuff like that can cause problems. But
yeah.
you know,
well, you know, it's interesting. Anthony Vassaturno, before he moved back to Ohio, when he was living in South Carolina, he said, you know, I'd like to hold a grip event. And I can't remember if he said it or somebody else said, you know, do you think, because he was near Columbia where Rich lives, he said, do you think that Rich would come out for it? And I said I thought he would. I said if I talked to Rich, I thought he would come out. And it would have been cool to see him come out and do that. But Anthony, before he put on an event, he moved back to Ohio. So I was really rooting. I was hoping that we could have an event where Rich could demonstrate his prowess on the axle. I really was. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. I mean, I guess without video proof, we'll never know if Rich pulled those 45s. But I will say this, that, you know, Rich is still strong enough, probably, with some training or little training, you know, some dedication on the feet to still be able to pull 2 York 45s, deep dish ones, I believe.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't doubt that at all. I would suspect he probably wouldn't even need to put in any real specific training for it. I would think he could just chalk up and get it. You know, I believe that.
Well,
I think he has the strength. Yeah.
I
think it's definitely possible that he could do that. The only thing is, I just don't know why it's coming up now. Like, how has this never come up before that he was able to do this feat? I just don't understand it. Is it strictly because Brian Shaw was getting more attention, so now he wants to talk about it, or what?
I bet you he didn't even think it was a big deal. That's my guess. To him, it wasn't anything. That's how I'd have to be it, because he lifts the inch dumbbell like it's nothing. He does all that shit, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not something he probably even considers. That would be my personal feel. Like, when you lift all that shit easy, you don't differentiate. You know, if you lift one blob like it's nothing, he's like, he doesn't care if it's a Fat Man or a Next Gen. That shit's all easy to him. You know, he doesn't even probably give it a thought. That's just speculation.
There's part of me that wonders, though, if it was just a different generation of York plates too. You know, and I know that's kind of the middle ground here, but like if you were ever at, and I think you were, Jedd, weren't you at Pop Soren's old gym?
Oh yeah.
When it was, the one that he had like in that strip mall.
Yes, sir.
And that would have been back when Rich was training there. On the gym floor, he didn't have any old school Yorks like that. He had York plates, but he didn't have any of the old school Yorks out there. He had them in sort of that back room on display. I don't know if he allowed Rich and those guys to take them out for training purposes. I don't know. But, I mean, is it feasible that he took any number of the other York 45s that Richard had there and pinched them? And yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
You know? So So I don't know. I mean, for me, I would love to see Rich just get a set of those out and pinch them and lift them. Whether it takes work or it doesn't take work, as Alan's suggesting, it would just be cool to see him do it. So.
No, sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'd like to have the accurate lift. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to, every time someone asks me, say, and then there's these other two guys that say they've done it, but there's no video. So, that's why if I knew that Rich was going to be somewhere that I was going, I would take the old school Yorks with me if he was going to take an attempt. But, knowing what I know, I mean, would he even try? Be like, well, I don't care about that feat, so I'm not going to try. You know what I mean? Because he said stuff like, I don't care about the inch dumbbell, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to try. So, I don't know. But I would definitely bring the plates.
Well, I think a lot of what bothered Rich is like when he went to pull, when he did his clean of the inch, somebody had said that it bumped his thigh and it was more of a continental, and he just
that got taken from him. Yeah, he didn't get withdrawn
at that point. Yeah, he just sort of swore off, all that stuff. And I think that do I understand the reaction? Yes. Do I think that at some point you have to realize I reacted and that is upsetting, and I don't like people trying to downgrade my feet, but it's over. It's the past. It happens. Move forward and not try to deny people. Just sort of like here. I
remember that.
Here's what I can do with the inch, or here's what I can do with 245s. Look, I'm not saying you have to submit them for like grip board approval or something. I never submitted any of my 55s pinch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get that he doesn't want to go out and get the approval of people that he thought were judgmental of him. I understand that. But I do think it would be cool for him to just even have footage of himself doing some of these feats.
Yeah.
That we all know that he's capable of or close to capable of. So.
Well, that thing with the inch and his clean and that knee thing, I know exactly what you were talking about, but that was that's just an involuntary thing that I think people that have just benched tons of dumbbells through the years just kind of do that for kick up. I mean, he probably didn't even know he did it.
I don't
it was just.
I was there. There shooting it. I didn't notice it. It was something that Richard noticed later on after I posted the video. I'm pretty sure Rich Soren is the one that noticed that, and I was under the impression that Rich was okay with the fact that it doesn't really count because it struck his thigh. That's that's information that I received.
No, I don't think that he's okay with that at all. And I think, the way that he put it to me was that the bell brushed his thigh on the way up, which actually made it sort of rotate even harder towards his thumb, which makes sense. It's not like he stopped it with his knee and lifted it up with his knee.
Right. No, I don't think he got anything out of that. That's more like a technical foul kind of thing. I don't think he got a real assist out of it. It was like I said, it was so inadvertent. It was just like muscle memory happening there, and it didn't give him a bump out of the deal. I mean, I don't think. No.
I'm with you. I think there's two stories here on how this came out. That's the main thing. There's the story that I got from Richard Soren, and there's the story that Rich Williams is telling. Somewhere in between is the actual story. And I can tell you that the day of that event, no one noticed that there was any contact with his thigh. It was celebrated just like it was, anyone else doing the feat, totally clear of the body.
It's an amazing feat of strength. And I just wish, I wish Rich was able to even say, look, it's an amazing feat of strength. Of course, there's going to be criticism and naysayers. Let him be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But, I don't know, man. Maybe I've exhausted the whole Rich Williams thing on that. I guess the only thing I'd like to say is that I would like to see him have documentation of some of this stuff, not for any other purpose than, just to have it, because it would be cool to see if he really wanted to rededicate to grip what he'd be capable of. Not that he has, how many Mighty Mitts did he win? You know, it's like he's proven himself, you know. So, but yeah. So, yeah, every time something like this happens, he seems to get roped into it, though. And it's usually, lately, it has to do with...
He did. He got pulled into this one. Because if you look at that thing on Instagram, I looked that up after Jedd said it. And he didn't just start chiming in. He got tagged and brought in, you know.
Yeah.
So, definitely give him the benefit on that one. So,
yeah. So.
Well, hey, guys, I don't know if you've been hearing the sound, but, like, my phone's about ready to die, and I really don't want to get kicked out of the call. So.
Oh, I thought we were on speaker.
Yeah, I am on speaker, but if I get kicked off, you guys will have to finish the call for me, but otherwise, you know, let's just go ahead and cover what we're going to cover. But actually, I just noticed it's really close to 3, and I'm supposed to be in town for a drawing for something, so I should probably actually get going.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's
we'll wrap her up.
Go forward. Maybe we'll table the Danny Young gold nail thing.
I wanted to talk about that so bad, but we can save that. Yeah.
We can table that. And then I would only have one announcement. I would only have one announcement, and this is going to be submitted to IGC, I believe, that the Arm Highland Grip Strong Wrestling Power Games are September 21st here in Charlotte. So there will be likely a grip contest at it.
Awesome, man.
You couldn't use all the letters in the alphabet twice on that name, James?
Yeah, like Jason said that the word bend isn't included. So he wanted me to modify the title to Arm Highland Grip Strong Wrestling Power Games Bend. So
that's a lot to fit on a T-shirt.
We're going to have
throw some silent S's and L's in there, like the French Versailles.
Like Versailles, yeah. So anyway, that's going to be in Charlotte, September 21st. If any of you guys want to come out or come down, you're certainly welcome. Every time we do something like this, it's a blast. So
cool.
Yeah. But that's all I got this week, guys.
Cool.
Okay.
Take it away, Alan.
All right. Well, that's it for episode 102 of This Week in Grip. Hope everybody liked it. Subscribe, comment down below, and we'll be back next week with another one. We'll see you then.